Indiana Hoosiers Live special edition. We've got a special guest on the channel, the best damn lawyer in the land. Welcome back to the show, Brian Lauten. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be here. Good to see you, Alec.
Good to see you as well. We were talking a little bit before the show. It's been a little bit since we've spoke on camera. Me and you texted a little bit back and forth after the Oregon game. So just to kind of get your perspective to kind of remind Hoosier fans or get like reintroduce Hoosier fans to kind of how you entered this journey and what has it been like watching Indiana from afar? You obviously played a huge role in Lewis Moore's eligibility. So just kind of following the team from afar, seeing the team post Oregon till now. What does it look like for you?
No, it's been wildly entertaining for me to see him do so well and succeed. I didn't know anything about Lewis when he first hired us to represent him, other than the basic stuff that he had played with Pete Golding at Ole Miss, and that he was from Poteet High School in Dallas County, in Mesquite. But now looking back, it's crazy that it's late December, 3-4 months later, and he's got 6 interceptions, and Indiana's number 1. They've beaten everybody. I mean, it's been a dream season for him, and I'm really, it's been cool to watch. And I'll tell you, I pull for Indiana. In fact, my son, who's a senior in high school, applied to the Kelly Business School. He hasn't heard yet, but it's definitely his top 2 or 3 picks. And I could have imagined him applying to Indiana a year ago, not because Indiana's not a great school. It's just not something it's not a school that comes up every day, cocktail parties in Dallas, only because of the distance. So no, it's been great to watch, and I'm happy for the Indiana fan base and their team, and watching Coach Signetti do so well. If you're an Alabama fan, it's always great to see those assistants turn out to be a triple plus, top tier, if not the best coach in football. It's fun to watch. So cheers to Indiana and the fan base, and it's been a great year for you guys.
It absolutely has. And you mentioned it, and like I said, the Indiana fans kind of know you as sort of this folk hero. But if they didn't,
I wouldn't go that far. Y'all kind of say that.
I was gonna say though, if they took the time to look a little further into you, maybe even look at your Twitter handle, which is like Roll Tide Brian, you're a massive Tide fan, and so this becomes a pretty unique week for you, unique lead up for you. So as both a longtime avid Alabama football fan and this newfound Indiana football appreciator, what has this lead up to this football game been like for you, and kind of how are you, I guess, dealing with both sides of it?
It's, I think you and I kind of talked offline about this. I mean, I grew up in the Coach Bryant. Bear Bryant he passed away when I was about 8 years old, but I started going to Alabama games when I was 4 or 5. And Alabama won the national championship in 1978 and 79 when I was 4 or 5 years old. And then, of course, Coach Bryant died in 83, and we were in the cellar from 83 until 92 when Gene Stallings came and Alabama won a national championship in 92. And then there was a drought until 2009. So those of us who grew up in, South Alabama, where I did through those years, you're not cocky, and, used to getting beat quite a bit and learning to lose with a great deal of humility. So I'm glad Alabama's in the Rose Bowl. I'm more concerned about hoping they play well. I have no problem with teams beating us. I just can't stand when Alabama loses a game more than the other side wins it. But I'm not going to pull against Lewis. I'm not going to pull against Indiana. I'm not going to pull against Alabama either. But I hope it's a really good football game, and it's going to have some interesting parallel themes, I think, with Mendoza. Alabama, we haven't played a quarterback like him. We haven't played someone as smart as he is that can throw the football as fast as he can and gets it out that fast. I think Alabama's defense is really, really good, but playing a quarterback that's on that level is going to be a big test. And whether Alabama can move the football and run the ball will be wildly interesting. But I hope it's a competitive game for us. I know that it does give me some solace that we've got so many guys that are injured that are either back or at least back well enough where they can play a little bit. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the game, and have really enjoyed watching y'all play football this year.
Have you received any, like, I don't want to call it like real pushback, but has anybody kind of busted your chops a little bit about quote unquote helping the enemy? Given that
No,
most
no, not at all. And I don't like those terms. We don't have any enemies. That's just, I'm not comfortable with all that. I think one of the problems now with college football fan bases, this stuff on Twitter, people just start going at it. No one would ever say that to each other if they were in person or even on a telephone. But it's been cool to see Coach Signetti do real well there, and I think it's going to be hopefully a really good game. But like I said, I hope Alabama plays well and doesn't beat themselves, and I hope it's a good football game. It's obviously going to be a massive challenge for us to play with a team that's playing as well as Indiana is right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, me and you were talking about this before we hit the recording, but I think a lot of people, when they look objectively at this game, understand the challenges that Alabama's talent poses. They understand the challenges specifically that Alabama's staff poses. You look at DeBoer spent a season on Indiana's sideline. Kane Womack spent 2 seasons on Indiana's sideline. There's a lot of overlap. The strength and conditioning staff used to be at Indiana. A lot of the offensive staff was at Indiana too. So I think if you get past the I guess cockiness and the willingness for Indiana to punch down at, like, Indiana fans to be punching down, I think there is a real respect and an understanding that, like, this is going to be a really fun matchup, and the fact that you have this really historic fan base, massive fan base that travels really well and has a lot of passion versus this fan base that has been awoken by somebody who comes from the same, like, championship DNA that set the stage for all the success Alabama has. I think there are a lot of unique crossovers in this matchup that I think most people, if they were being honest with themselves, would take the time to appreciate. Which is why I think having a conversation with you, somebody who has the unique perspective of seeing both of these things, I think is really important. Go ahead.
No, I appreciate your comments, and I think they're well taken. I'll tell you too, there's a lot of fatigue, I think, for fan bases. It wasn't that long ago where, when Alabama was playing its best football, the 2015, 2016, 2017, or even the 2020 team with Devontae Smith and all those good players, it used to be you play great. Then, you had this extra game with the SEC championship, and by God, if you won that, then there was one more game. Now it's like, I think it's just fan base fatigue. It's like, we went and played Georgia, but it's like, God, we already played them this year. It's just hard to get excited about that. And then, we're playing them on the road again. I mean, in Atlanta, a game against Georgia in Atlanta might as well be a game in Athens. We played them in Athens, and I was like, oh God, we got to go play them in Atlanta. And then, oh God, we got to go play Oklahoma. We've already played them too, and now it's like, oh, we got to go. You're going to the Rose Bowl. It's just, I think it's tough on fan bases that the season has just gotten so long. Because I'll tell you, any other year, if Alabama's playing the Rose Bowl, I'll be so much more jacked up and excited and would probably go to the game. But I think the playoffs, I just think it's a long season,
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully they'll do something to at least shorten some of the fat, because I think it's a lot on the fan bases. But this ought to be a really interesting game. I think that, I think Mendoza's, there's a reason why he won the Heisman Trophy. He's going to be a really formidable quarterback, none like we've seen this year. So it ought to be interesting.
Yeah, an exciting matchup, absolutely. Brian, is there anything you have coming down the pipe, in the oven, baking, anything you want to highlight, or anything that's kind of been on your radar in the last couple of weeks?
Are you talking about football wise or legally or what?
I mean, if you have an answer for both, I'll take them both.
Oh, well, no, I don't have any more cases like that. I've gotten lots of calls. But I'll tell you, generally, this, I don't think people can quite understand just how expensive a case like Lewis's is, because you're talking about antitrust stuff, very complicated federal monopoly stuff. You've got to have experts. Getting restraining orders and injunctions are the kind of the kind of hearings that basically shut down everything you're working for and requires full-time stuff on the front end. And they're almost always in federal court. Our case was a little different because we were able to figure out how to keep it in state court. So point being, unless someone's really a big time athlete with the backing of a school or NIL money, it's really cost prohibitive for somebody that's just trying to get an extra year paying for something out of pocket. I mean, you're talking about a lot of front end legal fees that are enormous for a college kid, right? So we have gotten quite a few calls, none that are on the level where someone's ready to make that kind of financial commitment to come back for another year. But no, I was just real. I mean, after the way the Alabama Oklahoma game started, I was just glad to see us get back in that game and play well. Mateer, God, that guy's got a lot of class. I watched him in the press conference and I felt so bad for him, but I thought the way he handled himself after the game and what he said was really impressive. And I hate that he didn't have one of his better games. And no disrespect to him or Oklahoma. I'll tell you, the Oklahoma fans are some of the best fans I've ever been around. I've been to their stadium. I've seen us lose to them, saw us lose to them in the Sugar Bowl, saw us lose to them there. Fans are super classy. It's no slight on them for me saying this, but Mateer's not a Mendoza. But to be fair, there's not many quarterbacks who are. So it doesn't blow my skirt a lot that, even though we came back and played real well, especially on defense against Oklahoma, I don't think that respectfully you're talking about necessarily an apples to apples comparison at quarterback. And that's what's going to make Indiana really tough for us. But I do have some comfort in the fact that we've had so many injuries and at least we're going to have some people back that we haven't had. So hopefully it'll be a good game, but yeah, it's going to be a big test for us for sure.
I think that's you single-handedly pointed out the main reason why Indiana has so much confidence is when it comes down to it and everything else gets taken away, like who's the person who has the ball in their hands, and it's the quarterback. And Indiana's got a damn good one. Brian Lauten, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining the show.
I always enjoy being with y'all, and y'all be nice to us out there.
And listen, I would like to take this time to say, like, I think again most people understand, but the cockiness, the confidence coming from the Indiana fan base in large part does come from the fact that, and it is the one chirp that Indiana fans receive back, is we haven't been here before. Like, this is Indiana's first real Rose Bowl since 1967. And so I think that's what you're seeing. I know that's what you're seeing from this fan base is we're very excited to be here. We understand how much this game means, and we're the favorite by more than anybody has been favored over an Alabama team since the 2008 SEC championship. There's a lot of reason for Indiana fans to be confident. But at the same time, none of that matters when you go and play the football game, and Alabama has more than enough talent to cause problems. So that's why it makes it fun.
Well, I'll tell you, I think, but to be fair, I think that, if your fan base is jazzed up the way y'all are, I mean, I think the teams feed off of that. So that's an asset for the school and the team to be, on a big endorphin high. I think we're more just hoping that we have a good game and play well. So I think the expectations are probably quite a bit different. I don't know if that plays to anyone's advantage or disadvantage, but it is a dissimilar conversation. I do think that Indiana will have an advantage for sure. I'll be shocked if it's not a 65, 70, 30 ticket split. It's just hard for Alabama. We talked about this offline. It's hard for Alabama. I mean, there's so much fatigue from going to Georgia and playing Georgia twice in the SEC game, going to Norman, playing them twice. Then all of a sudden, you got to be in Los Angeles next week if you want to go on holiday. That's just a lot for a fan base, especially as far away as Alabama is from Los Angeles. So I'll be surprised that if it's even close to a 50-50 ticket split. But yeah, it's a game during the day at least, which if it is a big delta in the ticket split, that'll help Alabama a little bit. But it's a exciting time to be an Indiana fan, and hopefully it'll be an entertaining game for everybody.
I'm hoping the same thing. Brian, thank you so much for your time.
I enjoyed being with you guys. Go Hoosiers, roll Tide, And I'm sure I'll talk to you after the game's over.
We'll talk soon for sure.
All right. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for having me.
Do as well. Thank you.